Hi, good day to you. Good day to you. Good day. Good day to you. Now being recorded. Today and in this video, I'll be walking you through the process of cleaning and transforming data using Power BI. In our last recording videos, we looked at cleaning and transforming data using Excel. But today we'll be looking at how we can clean and transform our data using Power BI. And I can remember that in our live class that we had on Sunday, we talked about what Power BI is. We talked about the benefit of Power BI, some of the components of Power BI, the features of Power BI. We looked at that. And one of the things we also talked about is talking about the Power BI desktop, the Power BI mobile, and the Power BI services. And we said that the Power BI desktop is actually the environment or the platform where you cook up your data by cleaning and transforming it. But in the area of services, is the services in Power BI that you use in presenting your data, giving report of your data, of the cleaning and transforming that you have done. And what the Power BI mobile enables you to just access your information, to access your presentation on the go. That's what the mobile is all about. So that for some of us that might want to use it on our Android phones, on our iOS phones, we can use the Power BI mobile. So these are some of the components that Power BI also offers, and it's part of what we have talked about in our live classes on Sunday. So this is where we talk about the Power BI desktop. We talk about the Power BI mobile apps. So the mobile apps is what enables us to have our our visualization on the go, the presentation, what you have cooked using the Power BI desktop. You can be able to see it and be able to access it on the go, and that's why this application is available for us. But the services itself is where you dish out what you have done for people to understand what the insight you have discovered in the data and what the data is actually doing. Okay, but the business for this video recording is actually for us to look into the environment of Power BI desktop, and also to see how we can do data cleaning and data transformation. So I'm just going to launch my Power BI desktop. If I have installed my Power BI desktop on my system, it's going to have an icon on the desktop environment just like this. It will have an icon like this. For the installation, we have dropped it on our drive. So as many of you that need the installation for free, please try to access the drive to download it. And the process of installing the Power BI desktop is very, very easy. Just follow the process. Just install the Power BI directly from the installation. Then follow the process of the installation. There is no special settings or requirement that is required. Just launch it on your desktop. But I will say that I will say that on the system that you are installing it, just ensure that the system has a minimum of 4 gig RAM, because of the processes of what Power BI offers and the features that is embedded in Power BI. So let's launch our Power BI desktop now. Let's launch the environment. I'll just double click to just launch the environment. So we'll first of all look at the environment of Power BI, look at all the features, before we begin to do our data cleaning. So it's launching right now. Yeah, can you see the environment? If you launch your Microsoft Excel, your Excel will have this kind of setting for you to have this kind of setting. So you will now need to go to the blank sheet. But in this case, we are looking at the blank report. The blank report is the one that just enable you to begin to do your data cleaning and data transformation from the beginning before you begin to do your visualization. So what I will just click on this, it will launch this way. This is how my Power BI environment looks like. Can you see the environment? This is how it looks like. And you could see that it's somehow similar with Excel because this is also a software that is developed by Microsoft as well. So in this software, you see that it's having, just like the way we have Excel, the title bar, the menu bars, the ribbons. It's just all having some special views here that is different from Excel, and some special views of visualization that is also different from Excel. And the environment is also different, but they are made up of bars, that different bars that constitute the environment of the Power BI desktop. So this is how the environment looks like. This is how it looks like. You can begin to visualize some of the things that we have here. We have the file. This is the file. We have the home tab, the insert, the modeling, the view, the optimize, the help. This is what we have. But in Power BI, it actually consists of three major components. And the three major components is the Power Pivot, the Power Query, and the Power Visualization. The Power Pivot, the Power Query, and the Power Visualization. So what I'm seeing in this Power BI is the Power BI desktop. The moment I launched my data, is going to open up my Power Query to me. It's going to open up my Power Query to me. And it is in my Power Query, I will do the work of cleaning and the work of transforming my data. Then it also has visualization. The visualization is the view that helps you to do your presentation of the chart that you have and the presentation of the dashboard that you have created. So that enables us to do some of those functions to you. So if I need to load my data, I need to clean my data, I need to transform my data, I'm going to be making use of the Power Query. But the visualization is what enables me to create my dashboard. And we also have the Power Pivot. The Power Pivot is actually the environment that enables me to apply some features to my data cleaning and to my data transformation. So looking at this environment, let's start with the File tab. If I click on this File tab, I'm going to see something like this. What I'm seeing right now is the backstage view of Power BI. Is the backstage view of Power BI. In this backstage view, we have open an existing Power BI report. We have save as. I can also save. I can share through a link, just to get a shareable link to send to somebody. Then I can do a get data. This get data is the one that enables me to connect to multiple source of data. Then I can import some data into my Power BI. I can also export. I can export into PDF, just like we are export to PDF, and I can also export to other different files. I can import. If I'm importing different files into Power BI. And Power BI has several files that it could use to do some of these data analytics that we need to do here. So this is import, this is the sign-in, this is the option and setting. This is majorly when I want to work on my data, I don't specifically do anything here. So what I will just simply do is only when I want to either export my presentation or export my data out of Power BI. That's when I use export to PDF. But it is necessary for you to check this option and setting. So if I click on this option and setting, and I go to options, it's going to give me some of the features that are set on my Power BI. I can begin to look at some of those features one after the other. But by default, it's just advisable that you just leave it this way by default, so that you will not begin to adjust some things that you won't be able to trace at the end of the day. But one thing that is so necessary is looking at the nature of the data that you want to operate on. For instance, if I'm considering data that is coming from US, that means I have to do my Power BI using the Power BI setting into US. If considering data that is coming from Europe, I have to consider the data in that environment of Europe. And that's why it's good to do what we call the regional setting. The regional setting is here. So once I click on this regional setting, you see that I'm having different states, because data also depends on the environment where the data is actually coming from, so that the scenarios of that environment can also be built. But basically, by default, most of the data we make use of is from United States, which is English. So you can just retain it like that. But if you are dealing with a different data set, maybe your data set is coming from Sweden, you might just decide to choose this as the preferred countries where the data is actually coming from. So I just basically leave it like this, except otherwise that the data I want to work on is different from what I'm actually having right now. So here I will then go to my report setting. Presently, the my report setting background now is showing dark, dark, dark. I might choose to just adjust it, just like the way we did in Excel. Maybe I just put it to light, so that all my environment will just show light, something like this. Can you see that is giving me a different view? Okay, let me just change it to something else. I think this is too bright. This is too bright. Is loading. Okay, let me come down. Report setting. Let me go to report setting. Customize appearance. Let's put it on legacy. Let's see what legacy will give us. Okay, I think this is also still preferable. So I can make use of this. I can make use of this. So let's look at that is on the backstage view, looking at the file, what I can use it to do. I can save, I can do save as, I can share the link, I can import, I can export, I can do some other settings to it. So basically, this might not be so needed in what I need to do. You can save your work if you wish to at the beginning of your Power BI data analytics. So here, if I look at home, in home, you see that I'm having clipboard, I'm having this set of data, and in this set of data, I'm having the get data. If I click on this get data, you see that we have several extended data that Power BI can use. That means Power BI can connect to data of Excel, data of Power BI semantics model, data of data flow, data of data vacs, the SQL, the text X CXV. Sometimes our data can come with this text CSV. And if our data is coming with this text CSV, we don't need to convert it to Excel file. Automatically, the Power BI environment can connect to it and be able to use it for your data. I can get some data from the web as well. Can get some data from the web. If I want to get a data from the web, what I just need to do, I'll just click on this. Is going to tell me what the URL of that web is going to be. From the URL of that web, is going to connect to that data there directly and import it into this web. Let's do a little demo on that. Let me go to Google and say population uh, population of Nigeria by state. Let me just say population by of Nigeria by state. Let me see what it's going to give me. Okay, let's look at Wikipedia. Okay, can you see this data now? Can you see this data? Now, instead of me trying to copy this data, maybe into Excel and begin to do some page layout, page settings, and all of that, I might not need to do all of those things when it comes to Power BI. What I will just simply do for my Power BI to connect to it, I will just copy this URL. Then I'll come to my Power BI, then click on it, then paste it here. Once I paste it here, my Power BI will connect to it and pick up all the data that are in it without picking some of the content or some of the words around it. So if I just click on OK, it's going to load it, for me. Okay, it's saying okay, it should connect to a list of Nigerian states. Yes, the URL. Okay, select which level to apply these settings. Okay, let's connect. Let's see what it's going to give us. It's loading. It's loading the data. It's loading the data. It's loading. Please hold on. Now, can you see that immediately it loads the data? It just loaded the data into my Power Query. This is like the environment of my Power Query where I need to transform the data and do some analysis to that data. If I click on this table now, can you see this? It has automatically imported all the data that I have here. Now, if I come back here, you see that all of this content that I have here were not just necessary. So we just concentrated on the data alone and fetch out the data from the website that we have. So it neglected even the map that we are having here, and this is what is giving us here. So if I go to my Power BI, you see Kano State. Here is showing that Kano State is having 9,000 something, 9.4 million. This is what we are having. So automatically, it just give me all of these details automatically. If I look at my table 2, can you see what table 2 is? I have my table 3. Can you see the table 3, what it is? And this is like the code that is backing it up. So I can also directly just import some data from my web. I can import some data from the web directly without having to be doing copy and paste of those data in that my work that I want to apply. So we can choose to apply some of those details into it. Please hold on. Okay, so I can just do all of that to it, but I don't need this, so we can just choose to so let's move ahead. On this get data, so we have different data that you can connect to. You can connect to our database, the SQL server. If I have an SQL server, I can just connect to it and take up the data that I need the Power BI to take up. If I click on more, it's going to show me other data files that I can also connect to. These are all the data files that I can also connect to. This is part of the capabilities of Power BI, connecting to several data that we have. Several data. Can you see a lot of data that this can connect to? This is so massive. This is so massive. This is so massive. You can connect to a lot of data, all these data. whatever the extensions of the data is. You can connect to Azure Data House. You can connect to all of those things. We've talked about that in our live classes. You can connect to all of that. So if you look at this get data, then we have the Excel workbook, the one lay data. This is just an extension of some of the data that Power BI can connect to, the Excel and all of that. So under this data group here, we have the extensions of the data that Power BI can connect to. Then we have the transform. This is the transform query, where we need to query and do some cleaning of our data. Then we have the new visuals, the text box, using our text box and some other things that we could use there. Then under the insert, most often time we don't really use the insert except we want to have some specific things in our visualization. So we want to try to bring in some symbols into it. That's when we can use this insert. We have the modeling. This is where we model this modeling is basically to build connections. When we want to build connection between a table to another table, we want to build connections for tables to have relationship with each other. We'll be making use of this. So that's why we have relationship here. This is for calculations, for security, and all. Then we have the view. This is what the view looks like. There are some visualizations of the team that the view can also help us to achieve. We have the optimize. These optimizers are basically to just optimize some of the performance and the processes of our data. So that's what basically this does. So going back to home and looking at this, you see that we have some of the views of Power BI. One of the view that we have is the report view. The environment I am on right now is called the report view. Under the report view, you will be seeing something like import data from Excel, import data from SQL Server, paste data into blank tables, use this one. All these ones you are having is the extension of the get data as well. They are extensions of get data. So if I click on get data from other sources, it will still open up that interface that it was displaying before, just like the way we have it here now. So it's still the same interface is displaying for me. So just to connect to data. So that's what all of this. So under this one, we have this report view. Then we also have the table view. This is the table view. The table view looks like this. But the reason why it's looking like this is because we have not imported any data into this Power BI. So it's supposed to show the data that we have imported here so that we'll be able to see the data being displayed on that displays. And that's why we have the table view not showing any content here. So I go to my model view. In my model view looks like this. And in the model view, that is the area where I actually build my connections with data. So if I need to do my data modeling, I'm going to be using my model view to build connections and relationship between data so that data can be able to interact with themselves. So we use this model view as a parameters to see some of those things. So if I click on this, it will just show me some of the model view. But because we are not having our data, we might not need to use this. So this DAX query view is more or less like an extension that can enable me to run some component of code in my work and be able to connect my data appropriately. So let's go back to the home page. Then when you come down, you will see that here we have our visualization. Here I can decide to visualize different data that I have that I want to do, but we don't have any data that we can connect with now. So there is no visualization that we can do. So these are different visualizations that we can use, different charts, but these are expanded though, because depending on what you want to apply. That's why it's showing get more view. So I can click on this one to get more view of my visualization. Then on this part, I can use this part to filter. Once I upload my data, this part to filter will automatically show to me so that I can filter. Let me remove this so that I can filter my data the way we just used to filter in Excel, just like that. Maybe I just want to filter a particular parameter from from different attributes that I have. I can use it to just filter. Then I have the data itself. The data will help me to just load all of the contents, all of the information that I have. So once I load the data here, you see that this view here will automatically change because it will not be saying you should import any data from here again because the data could easily be displayed from here and we could see the data that we want to work on. So we have our data also showing all of those parameters. So another thing I want to also expose us to is in this area of one of the tabs here that we have, which is the tabs for help, which is this tab for help. In Power BI, Power BI have a self-learning tools that could enable an individual to learn Power BI by itself, by himself or herself. So that self-learning tools is part of what is integrated into Power BI for individuals to learn on their own. For instance, we have the guided learning, we have the training videos, then we have the documentation, and it can also enable you to connect to the Power BI blogs, to the Power BI community. Whenever you are having one challenges or the other, you can source for help through that means. Maybe you have challenge with handling your data filtering, you have challenge using your slicer, and you need an information on how to go about it in Power BI. You can ask the questions in the Power BI community, and in that community they will provide you an answer to that problem. So if I click on this guided learning now, you see it's going to launch me automatically into the Power BI website where I can choose to begin to learn some things. Can you see it? It's showing Microsoft Power BI, browse all Power BI learning paths. Whatever learning path you want to follow, it will direct to get started with Power BI. If I click on this, it will open up different information. And all of these materials and information that we have here for help are being updated from time to time. They are being updated from time to time. It says discover data analytics, Power BI, data analytics and intermediate. For beginner, get started building your Power BI. So these are part of the resource materials that will help you to learn on the go. It will help you to learn on the go. So whatever thing I need to know about Power BI, the career path I need to build on Power BI, I can go through the process. Okay, I want to be a data analyst. I just click on data analyst to give me some uh, helpful information about data analysis, what data analyst does, the path for a data analyst, how to become a data analyst. All of those information are being embedded. So I also have the training video. This training video will automatically link you to the YouTube channel of Power BI, which will enable you to have their video materials to be able to learn on Power BI. And these are being updated from time to time. So if I click on it also, it's going to take me directly to YouTube, to the YouTube channel of that Power BI. Now in this YouTube channel, you see that presently this is saying this is uploaded in January 2025. It will tell you that it's being updated from time to time. And it's saying this has been uploaded, it was uploaded 2 weeks ago. If you go down, you see all of these materials are new things on Power BI to get updated on the things that is happening all around Power BI area. So sometimes when I just want to know, okay, what is new about Power BI? What are the things that people are doing on Power BI? I just come to this YouTube channel and try to listen to some of those videos, some of the things that people are reporting about Power BI. You can see this is talking about others and community. This is talking about data modeling, data connectivity, reporting, all of this is talking about this is uploaded in November, October. You can see on a monthly basis it's being uploaded to know what is new on Power BI, what are the updated things on Power BI, and it gets you well informed on the art area of data analytics in Power BI. So as a data analyst, you also need to be updated on the area which you have specified to be able to know what is happening currently in an organization and how things are changing or evolving in the trend of things is very important. So the documentations are some of the different documentations that have been done in this area that you can just listen to some of the things that could help you to 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 learn more and gain more knowledge in this area of data analytics. So that is on that aspect. I just need to show you all of that to get you a bit exposed to what we need to learn. All right, let's go to I've explained on all the tabs. I've explained on the views. What else do I need to do now? Okay, let's go and load our data. Let's go to load our data. We can load our data on this get data. Let's load our data. So we have some data that we might be loading here. Is it an Excel data? Please let me check the data that we'll be making use of before I load this so that we don't have errors to that data. Okay, cookies data. Okay, I think it's an Excel data. Let's go to Power BI again. So go to get data, Excel workbook. I want to go and connect my data from my Power BI. Okay, advanced security training. Okay, I think it's on the desktop. It's on the desktop. Please let me check on training data general records. Okay, cookies data. And okay, this is an other data. It's another data coming from a particular company that get their data from different branches or different units of that company. So if I load this data 2017, I'll just click on OK. It's going to help me to load the data. Now, one of the things I talk about when you are loading your data is that Power BI does not upload your data. What Power BI does, it automatically connects to your data. Power BI connects to your data. So in Power BI, it's connecting to your data, but not uploading. But in Excel, it's uploading your data. Excel will upload the data into the Excel environment, but this will connect to the data. So it's performing some operations on that data. So once I have it, I have this, it's going to upload like this, showing another data. So this other data is what I have uploaded. So I can either load or transform this data. So if I click on this now, it will enable the load and transform data. This is the data I want to upload. This is the data. This is the data. I have the data here. This is the data. So if I load this data, it's going to automatically load the data into my visuals. It's going to load it to my Power Visuals automatically. It then means that I have already cleaned this data. So I cannot say load, because once I load this data, it means that this data has already been cleaned. So I don't need to perform any cleaning or transformation on this data. So what I will, but what when I use transform data, it means that the data has not yet been cleaned. I've not looked at the data critically to see, okay, what can I clean, what can I format, what can I transform in the data. So if your data is clean, you can just make use of your load. But if your data is not clean, you need to make use of your transform data. But as you are looking at this data, you could attest that this data is not a clean data. Look at it here. You see that this is having star, 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 which is not supposed to be. It's not a clean data. If you look at it critically, look at the format of this date, look at the way it's looking, look at the way it is. So what I would just simply do is to just transform the data. So I'm just going to click on transform data to load into my Power Query. Once I clean this down, transform data, it's going to load into my Power Query. So it's going to open up a new interface entirely called the Power Query. So once I click on this, it's going to load up. It will load my data into the Power Query. Now, can you see that the environment of the Power BI is totally different from the Power Query? Now, in Power BI, we have this environment. Can you see the way the environment looks like? Can you see the interface? Can you see the tabs, the menu bars, the ribbons? Can you see? If you now look at the Power Query now, is somehow different from what. Now, this is an environment that will enable you to do data cleaning and transformation to your data. Data cleaning and transformation. But in Power BI, you cannot do data cleaning and transformation because it's just a report. It's giving a report of your data. But this in Power Query, you can choose to do some transformation to our data and what our data is doing. Okay, so this is our data. Can you see the way our data is? This is our data having several labels. This data is a very long data. You can see it keeps expanding, like that. But that's not my concern in this recording. All right, so let's move forward. What can we do? What can we do to this data? Let's begin to look at this data. What can we do to this data? So let's begin. Can you look at the interface? Let's look at the interface first. This is the home. Here we have transform. Can you see the transform? We have the add column, the view, the tools, and the help. This also have some embedded assistance into it, into the Power BI. So if I look at my home, basically, this is all what my home can do. It has a lot of features. Remove column, keep column, remove errors, keep duplicates, split columns, group by, and all of that. It has all of those functionalities in it. So in this home tab, you see a lot of features that you can use to manage our data, depending on what you want to do to your data. That will determine what you are going to apply. But when it comes to transform will help you to do some transformation to your data. Maybe you want to apply uppercase, a lowercase, you want to trim, you want to apply proper, you want to split columns, So this automatically is just trying to transform what the appearance of your data, how your data looks like, how your text looks like, is helping you to transform it. Maybe I need to perform some arithmetic computations like addition, subtraction, multiplication. I'm going to be making use of the number column. It has the date and time column. It has the text column, the any column, and all of that. I'm still going to be explaining on the difference between this any column and the text column. They are different from each other. Then in this place, it can help us to run some scripts. You can run some script in Power BI, and that's why it's giving us some of this information in form of a script like this. But never mind, we are not doing anything like coding or writing script here. We're just going to be analyzing our data by cleaning and transforming our data. So this is the transform. When I go to the add column, it's giving me this. Then I have my view. This is what my view could do. I have data preview, the layout, the columns. So I will advise that you study each of these column, each of these features very well under each of these tabs, so that when you want to apply your parameters, you will know how to apply your parameters rightly and how to make use of them. Okay, let's start with our data. Let's look at our data. Okay, let's apply data type. Data type. You know, in Excel, when we see data like this, the first thing we try to do is to make the data to align with their data type by the appearance and by what they define. We'll make it to apply to their data type. So in this case now, I can just come here, click here. What data type is this? This should be a whole number. Click here. What data type is this? Now, if you look at this one is having a data type for number and alphabet. Those are the two data types that it's having. So if I click here, there's no data type that is saying is alphanumeric. There's no data type like that. So I'm still going to come here to apply some things to this place so that I will know what to do to it. Okay, if you look at this is also a whole number. Revenue is a whole number. Okay, cost. Okay, let's say this is a decimal number. Date, this is just date. It doesn't come with our time. This is date, ship date, in ship date. This is also date. Okay. Then this is text. The data type here is text. So we have applied the right data type to each of these data that appears for these columns. So we have applied the right data type. So what next are we going to do? Okay. I was talking about this. I said if you look at this, is having this customer ID. In this customer ID is having ID, then it's also having name. It's having ID and it's also having name. So the best thing we can do to things like this is to split the column so that we can have it separately from each other. So if I want to split the column, I'll just come and click here. Then I will right click. Once I click there, I will right click it. Then come to split columns. Okay. Let me click here. Okay. Let me see. Add, for example, there's okay. Yes, I've seen it. This is split columns. What am I splitting my columns like by? I want to split by delimiters. I want to split by numbers of characters. I want to split by position, by lowercase to uppercase. If I'm splitting by lowercase to uppercase, it means what I'm using, the parameters I'm using to split it, it will now classify it into one as lowercase and the other as uppercase. The same thing too from upper to lower, from okay, let me click this. I mistakenly clicked that. So split column. So from digit to non-digit, by non-digit to this. Now, if you look at this data critically, you will find out that in this data is having something common to everything. And what is having common to everything is like the hyphen, the delimiters itself, the hyphen in between them. So we can use this hyphen to separate the two columns that we are having, and it's going to split it. If you look at it, let's scroll down. You see that as I'm looking at, you see the hyphen is still the same for all the data that we are having here. Still the same. So it is more or less like something common in all of the data. So I will just right click, go to split column, and say it should split the columns or separate the columns by delimiters. Once I click this, I'll allow it to load. You can see by default, the AI in Power BI has automatically recognize this hyphen as the parameters that I can use. You understand? So by default, it has just recognized it. Sometimes it might not recognize, you might be the one to come and check. Am I checking by columns, by comma, by equal sign, by semicolon, by space, by all of that? But it has automatically customized it for me by this hyphen. Then I can have an advanced options. I want to split by what? Is it row or columns? But what I'm dealing with is columns. So that columns will make the same. I want to split into how many columns? Two columns. Code characters. I'm not using any code characters. So I want to split by two columns. And it should split by this hyphen. So once I click on OK, you will see what it's going to do now. Now, can you see this? So automatically, it has separated the numeric values from the alphabet. It has separated the numbers from the alphabet. So I can just come to rename this one and say this is customer ID. Okay. I can call this, I can say rename this as customer name. You name this as customer name. It has splitted it. Now, because I've splitted it now, I can now properly apply my data type on it. This should be a whole number because it's not having alphabet again. Then this should be, let me apply my data type, alphabet, that's text. It should be text. So that has been done. So we can choose to look at the data again and see, okay, what next can be done to this data. In this data now, I'm already seeing some errors in this data. I'm already seeing some errors that this data is having. I'm seeing some errors. So what we are going to do to this data, inspect this data. Let's inspect this data and see some of the errors or issues this data is having. So if you want to inspect this data, let's go to view. In my view, I want to know the quality of the data. How quality is the data is in the sense that the number of errors is having, the number of duplicates. You can just show me all of those things in it. Can you see what I'm doing now? Now, can you see now that in the order ID is showing that this is having errors and the error is 2%. This is having in customer ID is having 2% errors. This is 100%. It means there is no error, no error, no error in it. Okay, let's move forward. Let's check the column distribution. Now, can you see the column distribution? Let me click on this and allow it to display. Now, can you see the column distribution? So here it's showing that these are distinct numbers, 6 distinct, 0 unique, 6 this one. So it's just giving me a brief analysis on my data. I've not started analyzing, but it's just already giving me a brief analysis on my data. Let's look at the column profile. Now, can you see the column profile for order date now? It's showing count is this, errors is 17. That means it's telling me that in this place now, I'm having about 17 errors already. If I come back here, this is showing 17 errors again. If I come back here, you can see this is showing how many errors? 0 error. It means this particular columns is already clean. It's not having any error. It's not having any duplicates. And it's also distinct. This is also distinct, no error. You can choose to check. In revenue, no error. You can also choose to check. If you check it down, you see that all the data are aligning appropriately. If I click on cost, order dates, ship dates, and other status. Now, this is okay. These are distinct. No error, no empty values, no empty strings as well. So in this place, in this data that I'm having now, the only challenge I'm having is the column of order ID and customer ID. That's the column. Okay, I have inspect the data. That's how we do to just inspect our data. So we just check on the view, to know the quality of the data, to know the distribution of the data, and to know the data profile. So that will help us to know the issues that the data is having at that particular time. So what I need to work on basically here is on this order ID and customer ID. So let me remove this this data preview that I'm having there. Okay, so I know where the problems are now. So we already know where the problems are. So let's choose to just filter. If I try to filter this, let me see if I have any errors here. Let me click this and type error. So this is showing me that there is no error in this point. Let me come here and choose to filter, say errors. This is showing me that there is no error as well. Let me come here. This is where I'm having the errors. And in this error, the customer name is promo, showing promo. So if I come here and say, okay, uncheck this, I want to see for only promo because that's where the error is. I just click on this. Now, can you see that's 17 errors that it was showing under the column profile and quality that I was saying? These are the 16, these are the 17 errors that I'm having. These are the 17 errors. So in this error now, I can say it should just come here and okay, keep errors, duplicate errors. I can say remove errors. Can you see this? I can say remove error. If I tell it to remove error, automatically all these errors will go. So if I just say remove error, can you see now? All the errors have gone. But in this case now, let me come back here. I will need to come and check all of those parameters that I have here so that I can still show me all my details. Since I have removed the errors that is causing the issue. But can you see the way I have this now? So one thing I need to also let you know here is that for Power BI does not use Control Z. You know, Control Z enables you to go to the previous work that you have done. But in Power BI works only by steps. So it goes by step. So all the cleaning, the data transformation that you are doing is applying it step by step. So if you want to undo the step, you don't use Control Z. You undo the step by coming to this apply step. So if I just remove this, remove errors here, all my details will show back again. So I can just say remove errors. Can you see this? Can you see it now? If I say remove filter, because I have filtered this for me to have these errors that is showing presently now. So if I just click on remove filter, it will just show me all of those details. So it works step by step. So any action that you have made that you feel that is not right, you can just undo the action from these apply steps. Not using Control Z. Control Z will not work. It's only in Excel we use Control Z. But for Power BI, you will use step to apply the functions to it so that you can apply it. Okay, let's move forward. Another thing I can do is that now I'm still having problem with this guy because I need to look at how to remove all the errors. I can now say, let's say keep duplicates. Let me keep errors. Let me see all the errors. So under my home, I'll just go to click keep errors. If I click on keep errors, it automatically show me all the errors that I'm having here. Do you understand? So yeah, I'm having 17 errors. So I can say that's keep errors that I'm having. Let me remove it. Let me remove it. I'm trying to remove the step. All right. So yeah, I can now say remove errors. So I can remove all the old errors from here. Remove errors. Now, with this data now, all the old errors have gone. With this, if I say remove duplicates, I can come here and say remove duplicates. I can say remove duplicates. But this duplicate is not majorly our concern because it's not giving it as an error. So let's go and inspect our data again and see what it's going to give us. So I go to view, column quality, distribution, column profile. So can you see that this is showing that there are no errors, no errors, no empty values, no errors, no empty values, no errors, no empty values. So this has automatically removed the errors from our data. So to some extent, I have been able to clean this error to this point. So this has automatically checked out the errors that we have. That's check out the errors. So we can also expect to, we looked at that, removing the duplicates and all of the functionalities. I can just come here. I can also remove errors from here, or it should remove duplicates if I have duplicates here. So automatically it will just remove the old duplicates that I'm having there. Okay, let's see another thing we can do, and let's see another thing we can do to our data cleaning and transformation. Okay, let's try to format. Let's try to format. Uh, let's try to format. Let's say we want to format customer name. If I click on this, let's go to, when we are formatting, what are we trying to do? We are trying to transform the data, whether you are taking from lowercase to uppercase, applying some functions of trim and all that. Yeah, transforming it. So yeah, I can just say, that in Excel, when we're dealing with Excel and we want to do some formatting, we'll use some Excel functions like proper, like some Excel function like proper, like lower, like upper, like a trim and all that. But in this case, you don't need to apply all of that. What you just need to do is to just select it, then come here and say uppercase. So if you just select all of those details and apply uppercase to it, can you see the way I just applied the uppercase? I can still come here and say take it everything to lower. You can see the way I'm applying these things is giving me here by steps, step by step here. So I can still come here and say capitalize each word. Can you see it? So it can still do some of these things. I can come here and say, oh yeah, help me to trim. You can trim some of these data from here as well. You can do add prefix, add suffix. Prefix means the what will come before the value, while suffix is what will come after the value. For instance, let's say I come here, this order ID, and I say and I say add prefix. Add prefix. What prefix do I want to add? Add lag to this number. Let's say this number is a Lagos number. If you just click OK, can you see that it has applied lag to all the numbers? It has applied lag to all the numbers. But if I choose to just, if I remove this, it has applied to everything because it's suffix. Okay, let's say I just click on this and I say apply suffix. Here I have lag. Then in this case now, add ng at the end of that value. Automatically, can you see lag this ng? So it has helped me to do these functions. So I can choose to just remove this, remove this. Then another thing I can do is that once I select this, I can say this is the text column. If I come under this place and say any column, I can choose to let me see and say split column. Split columns. Okay, I'm not splitting my columns now. Okay. So here, if I say, let me see this view up and down. Let me see. Transform by power. Okay, this one we take it to, maybe I want it to be raised to power any forms of value. It should give me that. If I want to duplicate these columns, I will just click on these duplicate columns. It will automatically give me the duplicate of that columns. So I can apply some of those functions and some of those functions to this data, and that data will just help me to just transform it just that same way that I want. So please hold on. I'm just trying to look for, okay, this is extract text before delimiters. Okay. Okay, to the right. Okay, we have removed all of those values. Okay, that's fine. So we have choose to just do some formatting to this. We have choose to just do some format. So if I would just want to format, I'll just click on it. Whatever it is I want to apply, I'm applying to it under my transform. I can do so many transformations to my data, and that will also help me to apply some function. So if you look at what we have done here, it's very hard for us to do it in Excel because you have to create a different columns. From that columns, you now have to apply the format that you want to, the formatting style that you want to apply. Then you have to delete that column before taking it back. So in Excel, to do such is a bit stressful. It's a bit stressful. Okay, let's see what we can do again. Now, looking at this data, let's say in this data now, I have my revenue, I have my costs. In this data, I don't have anything like profit. There's nothing like profit. Let's say I want to find the profit of what is made on the for each for each customer that we have. I want to know the profit that we made. Now, in this case, look at what Power BI is going to do here. In this place now, I can say, here I have my revenue, then I have my cost. If I subtract my revenue from my cost, if I subtract my cost from my revenue, I'm going to have my profit. If I subtract cost from revenue, I'm going to have my profit. But mind you, you have to be very careful to know the ones to select first. In this case, that means we are saying that profit is equals to revenue minus cost. So if profit is equals to revenue minus cost, what I just need to do is to come and select revenue, then hold my shift, then select cost. I've selected revenue. You can hold your control, then select cost. Now, once I do this selection, what I will do is to come to add columns. In this add columns now, this add columns now is going to add a different columns entirely to it. So it will just help me to add a different columns. So I will now say standard calculator. Then what am I applying? Revenue minus cost. That's subtract. I'll just say subtract. Can you see now? Can you see that automatically it just calculated the revenue minus cost and give me the results. So this is now profit. I can say this is my profit. Let's make this profit. You can see what that has done automatically. This is profit. So, but in Excel now, if I want to do this in Excel, I have to be using the formula to say, okay, equals to a particular reference cell, maybe B2 minus B1. Then I will have to now drag it down to all of the data that I have in each row. But in this case now, it will automatically select everything under that column and just create a new column for it and put the answer there. So that makes it a bit easier from what we have. Okay, let's look at another thing that we can do to this data, because we are talking about transformation and cleaning. So in this case now, I might choose to want to know the order dates and ship dates. Now, looking at the order date and the ship date, the order date is when the order was made. The ship date is the time it took for the order to be delivered. So if I want to know that, okay, how many days does it take for the order to be shipped? That means I'm looking at the number of days for the order to be delivered, which is called like the response time. So I want to know the number of days it takes. Maybe sometimes management is just querying that, okay, this kind of product, this particular product that we have, how many days does it take to deliver? So if you want to know the date, that means you have to subtract from the order date from the ship date. Automatically, it just creates the date for us, and that is the date that it was covered from the order date to when the product was delivered. So once I click on that, you will see that I can't apply standard here, but I can apply date because I'm dealing with date. That's why the date is enabled, but the standard feature is disabled here. So I will just come to date. Now you can see that in the date to age is disabled, date, the pace, the year, the month, the quarter, the week, the day is also disabled. I can say subtract days. Yeah, once you subtract the days, can you see what we're having? Okay, this is giving us minus these days, minus this. Okay, I think I've selected the wrong this thing. So what I will simply do is to just remove the steps of what I've applied. So what am I checking first? I want to check the ship date minus the order date. Ship date minus the order date. And that will now give me the response time. So if I come here, I will just say subtract this. Now, can you see what I have? So here I can name it to as the order date, then ship date. Let me name it as days covered. Or let me name it as response time or response date response days. Okay, so I can leave it like this. Can you see that automatically I can have to calculate for each day the product was delivered, each of the products that was ordered and the product that was shipped, the number of days it covers. So if we look at each of those products, I can find each number of days the product was covered. So I have all of this. So that is just all about our cleaning and transforming of our data. So once all of this is done, the next thing you are now going to do is, because this is now like a very clean data now, the next thing we are now going to do is to load it to our Power BI. And don't forget, we are coming from Power BI. This is where we are coming from. This is where we are coming from. After we left this place, we found ourselves here, the Power Query, where we did our loading, the cleaning and transformation. Then after all that is done, you will now just come to home, then you go to close and apply. If you apply, close and apply, it means that what you have here will automatically be closed, and it will take all of those information to your Power BI. You will take it to your Power BI. But if you apply, if you just say apply, it means this will still be open. Then your Power BI will also be open. So, and if you say close, it means that you are going to close this entire environment from it. That means the data will not be showing anymore from here. So the best to use is to just apply or close and apply, depending on you. Close and apply will just close this, then open up your Power BI. So I can just come here and apply, close and apply. So I will wait for it to load. Now it's loading. It's loading. 719 rows, 99 rows. Now it has finished loading. Now in what we have here, you see that here, this is my order date. I'm seeing my order date here. So it has loaded it into Power BI. You know, I said that the reason why we are not seeing any information here at that time was because there was no data that we have imported. But now we have performed data cleaning and transformation to our data. Then we could now load it into this because we now already have a clean data. So from here, if I want to just visualize my data, can you see my data? It's saying cookies shipment. We have the cost, we have the customer ID, customer name, and all of that. It's giving me all of those information that I have. Can you see the response date that I put here? The profit, the revenue. Can you see it? So if I choose to say customer name, I want to know customer name with profits. Can you see what is displaying for me now? Customer name with profit. I want to know it with their revenue. No, let's just say customer name with profit. Then I can apply my chart. Can you see the chart? I can apply my charts, bar charts, donut charts, tree map, the map. This is not showing because it's not all the data that I can visualize depending on what you're working on. So it's just visualizing this that I have here. So that is on that. So in our next video, I will be taking us through the work of data consolidation, how we can combine various data together, and how we can use various data. So we can look at all of those details in our next videos. Then also, I'm going to walk us through the visualization aspect and creating our dashboard with Power BI. All right, so that's all about our data cleaning and transformation in Power BI. All right, see you. We see in the next class. Take care.